The day LeBron James retires. A day the NBA doesn't look forward to, but we all know slowly approaches. And as it approaches, more questions and superstition arises. What dominoes will fall? Who will retire with or after him? Who will be the driving force for the Lakers? Or even bigger, who will be the new face of the NBA? I've been working on this script for almost a year now, so I've had to make a few changes, corrections, and edits over time. But as I've been working on it, it seems we get closer and closer to the day the king steps down from his throne. Today, I'm going to try my best to answer all these questions and more about what will happen when LeBron James retires. Now in this video, obviously a lot is hypothetical and superstition, like jersey retiring, trades, and so on. Needless to say, LeBron retiring will have massive ripple effects, which should go without saying. It's nearly impossible to predict the future, and this video has a lot of hypotheticals, guessing, and special circumstances. So before anyone in the comments says, "That will never happen," please take this video with a grain of salt, as I piece together predictions of the future with the information given, and also present the most entertaining outcomes as I make my best hypothesis for what will happen, even if some of them have a low possibility of coming true. Now, LeBron is undisputed as the longevity GOAT. He's the oldest player to average 24 points and above in a season, averaging about 30 at 38 years old. And if he keeps playing the way he has, which of course he will, then he will be the oldest to also average over 20 points, with Jordan and Kareem holding averages at age 39. He is also the only member to be part of the Ultimate Triple-Double Club, aka 30K, 10K, and 10K. He is now the player with the most points in NBA history, both all-time and in playoffs. He is also a little less than 1,400 points away from the 40,000 point record, which is harder to achieve but can easily be accomplished with another season in the NBA. This is made even more evident if we look at him scoring 16,000 this season. Long story short, while I'm more of an MJ man myself, you can't deny LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time, and when he retires, there will be waves upon waves of fallout, both positive and negative. So without further ado, let's start discussing them. Now there's a lot of speculation as to when LeBron will retire. No one knows for sure. This is only made more extreme after his team got swept in the conference finals. LeBron stated he had a lot to think about and was considering retirement, which sent the NBA world into an absolute frenzy. So you can only imagine what it will be like when he actually retires. LeBron has also stated he wants to retire at 45, especially with Haslam and Vince Carter playing till 42 and 43, and even one of his biggest rivals, Tim Duncan, retiring around age 40. However, with the sweep and his body slowly aging with injury, this is put into question. Since the sweep, LeBron has since stated that he will stay in the NBA, leaving at least a few more years in him, so let's focus on 4 things that are certain in those next couple years. The 2025 NBA All-Stars is hosted in LA. LeBron James has a player option in the 2024 to 2025 season. LeBron turns 40 in 2025, and Bronny is eligible for the draft in 2024. Keep those 4 things in mind as we discuss the other things happening in those years. At the time I record this video, the Oklahoma City Thunder have about 40 draft picks through through 2029, while the Lakers have 15 draft picks through 2029. In 2025, Anthony Davis also becomes an unrestricted free agent. So it is my prediction that one of these things will happen. Let's start with Bronny drafted to the Thunder or a team besides the Lakers. With, as we mentioned, around 40 draft picks, it's a near certainty that the Thunder will get a high draft pick in 2024. Let's assume that they use that for Bronny. Even if they lose in the lottery, they have the assets to trade up. 40 picks is a lot. Now you may be questioning why I said a high draft pick for Bronny. Bronny right now is nowhere near the top of the draft class. In fact, many mock drafts barely even have him in the first round. However, he may move up a few picks because you aren't just drafting Bronny, you're also drafting the last couple seasons of LeBron. Again, in this same season Bronny is drafted, LeBron has a player option, meaning he can stay with the Lakers or become a free agent. LeBron James on numerous occasions has expressed his desire to play at least 1 year with Bronny. I think you see where I'm going with this. With Bronny being drafted to the Oklahoma City Thunder, LeBron James then also goes to the Thunder. With LeBron and Bronny on their team, it's not necessarily a guaranteed success. In order to get LeBron, the Thunder would have to cut a lot of players to make up for salary cap and other hurdles to get through in order to obtain LeBron. Josh Giddey also has a team option in 2024 as well, meaning he will probably be cut from the Oklahoma City Thunder if something like this happens. However, with the father-son duo, it is also very likely that LeBron will be willing to take a 1-year, much smaller contract as a farewell year with Bronny before he retires, meaning that there may be less changes to contracts and money simply to make him play with his son. SGA's contract goes through until 2027. It's a bit of a stretch to say Bronny, LeBron, and SGA is enough to win a championship, but at least this gets LeBron a year with Bronny. To keep pulling on this thread, let's just say hypothetically that the Oklahoma City Thunder with this team make it to the finals. This would be the first finals appearance to come to OKC since 2012, and only the second time the Oklahoma City Thunder have been to the finals when they were not in Seattle. Again, it is unlikely that this will happen. However, if somehow the Thunder win a championship with them, this feat would cause unprecedented ripples, cementing LeBron James as part of NBA history even more than he already has, joining alongside with Gukas, Thompson, and Barry to have a second-generation championship. LeBron would be the first to do it with his son together. After these accomplishments, there is a large chance that LeBron, as he's handed the trophy and microphone, would announce that he would be retiring the following year, in his 40s like many great players. LeBron would then have to go on a retirement tour, playing his final few games with his son, and then celebrating in the 2025 All-Stars. I also see another possibility, although I have nothing to back this up. Lay GM may pull some strings to get Bronny to go to a team with AD, or the other way around, since AD becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2025, and this would serve as a passing of the torch to both his son and one of his best friends in the league, to act as a new mentor to young players, especially his son. If LeBron wins a championship with the Oklahoma City Thunder, it is also a possibility, but low likelihood, that LeBron James is the first player in NBA history to have his jersey retired in 4 franchises. I was originally tossing this idea around with my friends before Bill Russell's death, and they called me crazy. But now number 6 is already being retired league-wide, which includes LeBron's number. If LeBron wins Oklahoma City their first championship, it is highly unlikely with him playing only 1 year, but again, for the sake of hypothetical, still not necessarily impossible that they would retire his jersey. After all, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to happen with retired jerseys. Michael Jordan has his jersey retired with Miami, despite never playing or even being traded for their team. Cleveland will 100% retire his jersey for their championships and being where he was drafted and where he grew up. And more than likely, Miami for their championships with LeBron as well. This means that if LeBron does not go to the Thunder or another team and stays with the Lakers, or does not win another championship, he still does have the possibility of having 4 jerseys retired, with 2 from the Lakers, 1 from the Cavs, and 1 from the Heat, with the Cavs jersey basically being guaranteed at this point, with all the history behind it as well, and the Cavs owner himself already saying that he wants to retire it. LeBron says he wants his jersey retired in Cleveland as well. Some Cavs fans disagree with this after the decision, saying it left a bad taste in their mouth and now he does not deserve a jersey, but it's almost guaranteed to happen. If LeBron James doesn't get a 4th jersey retired, he still has a high likelihood to be the first person to have 3 jerseys retired, 1 from the Lakers, 1 from the Cavs, and 1 from the Heat, and being the first player to have 3 jerseys retired since Wilt Chamberlain and Pistol Pete. Even if we take that down and only have 2 jerseys retired, either 1 from the Lakers, 1 from the Cavs, or 1 from the Cavs and 1 from the Heat, he will still only be the 11th player in history to have 2 teams retire his jersey. Now again, this is a lot of hypotheticals and provides a way for Bronny and LeBron to play on OKC. But it also brings up a lot of things that most likely won't happen, like OKC winning a championship. So let's bring up another possibility. The other option is something no one would be surprised by either. We've talked long and hard about Lay GM and how he holds all the cards for the Lakers franchise. With this, LeBron could cash in every favor he has to have the Thunder or whatever team Bronny is drafted to trade Bronny to the Lakers. With this, by the Lakers trading during the draft, circumstances are very similar to the first possibility, but tuned to the Lakers. LeBron has said multiple times he wants to retire as a Laker as well. The Lakers have struggled in the playoffs since the bubble. However, they did just make the conference finals despite being swept, and Bronny and some others may just be the pieces they need. But let's just say, for the sake of the video, that they get Bronny and make some other overdue changes and somehow win a championship, just like OKC in the last scenario, along with LeBron breaking the 40,000 point record. LeBron would then most likely announce his retirement and join only Wilt and Pete, having 3 franchises retire his jersey. LeBron would also then have 5 rings, putting him over the edge for the GOAT debate for many people. This would also then lead to the Lakers having 18 championships over the Celtics' 17, further fueling the rivalry between the 2 teams, leading to higher view rates for the NBA, just like Bird and Magic in the past, and further solidifying the Lakers as the king team of the NBA, just as the king player of LeBron is leaving. Whether he stays with the Lakers or another team, one thing is certain: he will never play for Orlando. I'm sorry, Magic's fans, but he said it himself, so at least we can cross that possibility off the list. Now, all of these outcomes assume great things for LeBron. It's also possible that Bronny is drafted, LeBron stays on the Lakers and doesn't play with Bronny somehow. The Lakers and Bronny's team both don't have meaningful seasons and nothing really happens. But that's a bit anticlimactic and a mediocre outcome, which doesn't sound much fun. Either way, we've given possible outcomes leading up to the announcement of LeBron's retirement, with his retirement happening in 2025, in which he will use the All-Stars as a celebration and farewell to the NBA. So now, let's break down the effects and what will happen when the King retires. It should go without saying that when LeBron retires, he'll be the first ballot Hall of Fame candidate. But with such a great leaving the league, rosters are sure to see some shakeups. LeBron signed a $153 million contract with the Lakers for 4 years, meaning he makes about $42 million a year and has a player option in 2024 when Bronny is in the draft, like we said. If OKC decides to pick up Bronny and LeBron, then OKC has a decision to make. In the same year that LeBron becomes a free agent, Chet Holmgren and other players on the roster are up for contract extension. The decision then becomes, do they continue the rebuild to have a long-lasting team, or do they gamble everything on LeBron's final few years and have no more pieces when he leaves? We already brought up previously that Josh Giddey has a team option that year as well. There's also the question of what happens to the Lakers, whether he gets traded to a team with Bronny or retires. The outcome is still the same. With such a huge asset leaving, the organization now has a lot of money to play with, as well as Anthony Davis becoming a free agent in 2025. If LeBron chooses to take his player option and stay with the Lakers, LeBron could likely pass the torch to AD, resigning with the Lakers, and his son being the face of the new era. While LeBron would have the jerseys retired like I said, there is a loophole. Retired jerseys can be worn with the permission of the retiree. This is how LaMarcus Aldridge was able to wear Bruce Bowen's retired number 12 on the San Antonio Spurs. Knowing LeBron and AD's relationship, we could see the possibility of AD's number changing from 23 to 6 for LeBron. This seems even more likely considering AD already wore it in New Orleans to begin with. AD's role would then be clear. While LeBron would be retired, he would still clearly coach Bronny and Bryce at home, while AD becomes the coach on the court. This would also help propel Bronny's game and mold him into a more dominant player. As for Bronny staying on the Lakers, we could see that happening with LeBron having a house in LA, and LA being where Bronny's father played, and AD again being a mentor to him. This is made even more evident with Bronny choosing USC over Ohio State, but we would just have to wait and see. This also leaves a lot of cap space as well for the possibility of pairing up some other old friends of LeBron with Bronny that don't seem too far-fetched. If Bronny and LeBron decide to play for another team like OKC, there's a high chance that Bronny leaves to another team soon after. Which team after leaving OKC? Well, obviously we have no real way of knowing with 100% certainty, but my guess is him going to Cleveland or once again the Lakers. Bronny is already going to USC and visited Ohio State, and despite LeBron now playing in Los Angeles, Bronny knows how much Cleveland means to his father and family, again as evident with him visiting Ohio State. Once LeBron retires with his insane longevity, we will likely see many others soon follow suit. I originally predicted that some other players would retire alongside LeBron, but a few of these have already happened. In my original script, I stated, among the oldest and most notable names in the NBA, Andre Iguodala is 38, Carmelo is 38, PJ Tucker is 36, CP3 is 36, Aldridge is 36, Curry is 34, and KD and Harden are both 33. Now Iguodala and LeBron's biggest friend, Carmelo, have now both retired at 39 and 38 years old, with Aldridge being back and forth with his retirement already. Soon, we could see PJ Tucker follow suit. CP3 could retire by 2025 without a ring as he gets older, or retire when he wins his first ring, whichever comes first. KD and Curry are much younger, so they have a few more years left, but they are already in their 30s and have rings. Admittedly, I'm not great at coming up with hypothetical trades, but this leaves a lot of cap space on multiple teams, meaning many different people could move around. Perhaps Kyrie finally signs with the Lakers, as many have propagated, being in his early 30s, and him and AD would then have a great career together. The Suns would lose KD and CP3 together, so they could give Booker a larger contract or find more pieces to add around him. The Warriors would lose Curry soon, so they'd have to either use Clay as a first option or find someone else to become a cornerstone of the franchise. Many of these teams will be left empty without much building blocks. Ironically, the teams that may see success are the ones that haven't seen much success in a while, because they've already started this process of moving into the new era with young rosters, and therefore won't have holes filled by cornerstone vets to fill. These teams include teams like the Kings that made the playoffs finally, the Spurs with upcoming Wembanyama and draft picks, the Magic with Banchero, and OKC that just made the play-on, and so on. Regardless of who goes where when LeBron retires, one thing is certain. As popular and important as someone like the King is, his retirement would mark the official beginning of a new era, as these greats also retire, and the league is turned into a revolving door after great leave. And the NBA is left with no more KD, no more Curry, no more LeBron, and many other huge notable names by 2029, leaving students to become new mentors and new faces of the league to take hold. LeBron's retirement would also affect many things besides team tradings and things on the court. It should be obvious that something this big has implications off the court as well, whether it be in terms of culture, money, or anything else. It should be no surprise that with LeBron being one of the highest paid athletes in the world, that his financial impact has just as big an impact on the game as the effects stretch beyond the league. To put into perspective, even before Kobe died, bags of air from his last game sold for over $15,000. Unfortunately, jersey sales aren't public, so it's impossible to know how sales compare before and after retirement. But what we do know is that following Kobe's death, sales skyrocketed, as well as prices to match demand, with Nike selling out of all Kobe merch practically overnight, and Kobe making $20 million after his death. It should go without saying that LeBron's sales would also rise after his retirement. On the flip side, the Los Angeles Times estimated that Michael Jordan made about 20% of the entire NBA's revenue, equating to $20 million when he played. There's also the financial impact on America itself. It's estimated that Michael Jordan brought in upwards of $1 billion to the city of Chicago. Much of Cleveland's industry is based on LeBron's revenue generation, despite him not playing there anymore. The impact Cleveland would see is impossible to calculate, seeing as how he currently isn't playing there already, but we could definitely see some things change for the city of Cleveland and the areas around. LeBron's impact in the NBA, despite not as a player, will still be there as well, with people discussing building a statue for him in LA, much like MJ in Chicago. LeBron also has intentions to purchase an NBA team, especially if there is an expansion soon. This will help him at least stay somewhat involved in the NBA world, which will help him also participate in other things off the court he's known for, such as social activism and philanthropy, and things like his education program and community efforts in Cleveland, as we mentioned, but also nationwide. LeBron has been known for an icon off and on the court, and while it will definitely see a change after he retires, we can sure see it continue in some form or fashion. Now, let's talk about the impact of the Lakers before discussing the impact league-wide. The big question is who to re-sign and who not to. First things first, if the Lakers decided to keep Davis, we already explained the implications that would have for Bronny for years to come, and the Lakers could pair AD with Kyrie. While AD does not have a lot of injury issues, he is still a great player when healthy and has a lot of years left in him. So the Lakers could take that chance. Austin Reeves has also had a big part of the Lakers' success. So the Lakers will most likely see him take on a bigger role for the team and give him a large contract extension with the extra money. However, if AD is traded and does not become a team mentor for Bronny, what other effects does this have for LA? As great as the Lakers have been for decades, many have been considering trading AD for picks and even having the Lakers tanking for picks as well. As for where AD goes, many have proposed AD to the Knicks for Randall or RJ Barrett, AD going back to the Pelicans, or even trading for Zach LaVine to add some more offense to the Lakers and defense to the Bulls. With LeBron retiring, the NBA will be taking another significant hit, especially if other players start retiring soon after, as we said. So the question is, how would the league be impacted? Well, many fans are divided on this. Many say the league will be fine simply because of math. Many say the league will be in shambles because of LeBron's impact to the league. Well, let's look at the facts and make our own decision. If we look at the ratings over the years, despite LeBron being the most hyped prospect in history so far, the NBA was at its peak from the Larry Bird through MJ era. So the league presumably would take less of a decline when LeBron leaves compared to when MJ retired for the final time. Considering that the last few years of LeBron have not been as exciting as his Cavs and Heat days when he was in his prime, eyes have already been waning off of LeBron and onto other players for the last couple years. However, we have to remember that LeBron leaving also ripples to many other players leaving. So rather than thinking of just LeBron leaving, we have to consider the new era, with no KD, no Curry, no LeBron, and so on. It's no surprise that LeBron leads the NBA in jersey sales. However, right behind him is also Curry. The NBA isn't just losing LeBron's marketability, they're losing the marketability of arguably 5 to 10 of their top sellers over the next decade. However, with just as many players the league is losing, the same amount come in or develop into dominant or popular players. Jason Terry, a former NBA champion, gave his thoughts on this as well, discussing younger players taking over the league, such as Luka and Tatum. He also mentioned Ja, but Ja's got his own stuff going on now. Giannis is another example of a great player who wasn't necessarily drafted with crazy high expectations, but ended up being highly marketable in the years after due to his success and his mentality alone. So then this leads us to the big question you probably have been waiting for the whole video. Who will be the face of the league? Well, this is a big question that probably deserves a video on its own, but we can't discuss what happens when LeBron retires without this question. For this, the NBA has a big decision to make. Do they want an American player for the face of the league or an international player? The international market has been greatly expanding for the league for a while now, leading to incredible players, and the NBA will definitely like to see this continue for more money and more talent coming into the league, like Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, and Luka. However, it would drop viewership at home without having a national star in the spotlight, especially with the push the past few years to showcase African American players and appeal to black audiences. If the NBA decides they want to keep an American player, there are a couple to choose from, like Tatum and Kawhi and a few others. If they decide on an international player, they have the choice between Luka, Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic. Many say it will be Giannis, but the NBA could also take a route similar to Bird and Magic and instead focus on duos rather than a single person, like comparing Luka and Giannis as the best international player, or Jokic and Embiid as who is the best big, like the past couple years. Regardless of which of these predictions come true, or how much speculation and pondering was done for this video, one thing is for certain. LeBron retiring will cause tsunami waves of change and reactions, causing massive ripple effects across not only the league, but the world scene as a whole. LeBron's fame is incredibly large. We don't know exactly what will happen until that day comes, but whether we're prepared or not, whether we like it or not, that day is approaching faster and faster. Father Time is undefeated, and soon the king will have to give up the throne and camera to their heir or have a new kingdom be created on its own. If you stayed this long, I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe and share the video around, as it really does support me, and as you can imagine, this video was a lot of effort, with over 300 tabs and 10 pages of script, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.